my second time moderating a session here at one of Josh's conferences, so I'm happy to be back. My name is Tony Winders, and I'm the principal consultant at my own firm, Winders Consulting Group. We do B2B marketing consulting. So to that end, I really would like if we could just have each of the panelists introduce themselves, talk about what you're doing now, your name, title, company, and give us a couple of minutes of what you've been up to recently with influencer marketing and kind of how it shows up in your day-to-day world and something that you're excited about that you've been a part of. If you could spend a couple of minutes on that, that'll warm up our conversation, and then I have a bunch of questions to ask these guys.
I run the marketing at Olokai, which is a consumer lifestyle brand, footwear brand. Our brand is based philosophically, the ethos of it, from the Hawaiian Islands. And from an influencer standpoint, we were talking earlier, it's something that we, as an authentic brand and a Hawaiian brand, our first influencer market is in the islands, and there's a group of young, creative class that are really kind of taking the reins for the islands, and we really tapped into them. They're in Oahu in this city center area called Kaka'aka, which is really kind of Williamsburg is to New York City right now. It's really hip and happening, and we use those folks for any number of things, from absolutely getting us into the right places, whether it's boutique stores, having events at the right hotels or art exhibits and opening. We collaborate with them for art on products and artist collaborations, those sorts of things. And then it's not hard to find a good-looking Hawaiian, so we also use them for our advertising campaigns and kind of face of the brand, that sort of stuff. So we're sort of started there, and we're just starting to scale up that program and doing things more in the mainland U.S. and with more high-profile folks. We're actually shooting with a guy named Mark Healy right now in Kauai. Mark Healy's kind of the Bear Grylls, as I call him, of the ocean lifestyle, and he was on the cover of Outside Magazine a couple of months ago. And so that's something for us that we're really excited about. For the first time, we're getting out of just a local hero mode into something who's much more well-known from an international and national level. So
cool. Well, we'll come back to more questions about all of that in a minute. Okay. Seb, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Seb Weber. Josh, thanks for having me today, man. Just want to apologise in advance. I have a bit of a cough, so if I cough and splatter, it's not contagious, so don't worry. I am head of global marketing for Coldplay. I am creative director at a music streaming company called Tidal. I have my own consulting firm with this gentleman over here. I have the worst business name ever that no one can ever kind of read correctly, but it's 1985 in Roman numerals. I saw it printed in the thing, and I just realised how terrible it looked next to people with names that you couldn't read. And I started my first company when I was 19, which was a white label ticketing site, when everyone told me it wouldn't work. And people drove me out of their offices, and 6 years later I sold it for an ungodly amount of money. So I'm pretty used to that kind of space and working with influencers and doing stuff when people tell you you can't do it, and you really can. I'm excited to hear from everyone else today as well, so that's it from me right now.
Beautiful. Morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Andrew Higgins. I run product marketing for a company called Pixley. So what we do at Pixley is we help work with brands to take the content being generated by their customers and by their influencers and use it to market and sell. So, and on the flip side of that, then actually strengthen that relationship, not just take the content already being created by customers and influencers, but find a way to really strengthen those relationships and both to increase brand reach, but also the loyalty, and really it's about the experience first. So I guess some work that we're doing really interesting and we're excited about on the influencer side. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a brand called Gaiam Yoga, but some of the stuff we've done helping engage their community and use influencers is on the brand perception side. You think yoga and you think hardcore yogis, and this is a lifestyle with, obviously a lot of the world thinks a high entrance barrier. And so rather than spend a lot of money from a brand context trying to shift that perception, they actually reached out and found the influencers, found the customers from all different walks of life enjoying their products and enjoying yoga. And it was a much quicker, much more authentic route to actually the education with the larger audience that thinks yoga is not for me. Guyam's a brand for a very specific segment of the market. And they've done fantastic stuff to, get guys like me in a yoga room. And so we've done a ton with them. They continue to do that, but it's a really fun application of influencer marketing, not just as a way to acquire eyeballs, but actually shift brand perception and market well in the later stages of the customer life cycle.
Excellent. Cynthia?
Hi, I'm Cynthia Rojas. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Hype Digital Marketing. And we work with brands to really be able to create a brand story for them, really partner with them to really understand at the end of the day what's going to differentiate them from the competition. How can we help to really tap into the culture code and the emotional mind space of their target audience so that we can really develop and create content that is good storytelling, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all really doing. And as far as influencer marketing, we work with many brands to, and that's certainly a channel. Obviously, we're all here to talk about this. It's super important to a brand. One of the good successes that we've had recently was with a product called AquaTrue, which is a tabletop water purifier. We worked with them before the product was even on the market. And my team and I did everything from look at who the right influencers were to reach out with and partner with, to partner with them in coming up with a program, and ended up being able to sell $1 million worth of product before it even went to market. And that really is because we were able to tap into the right influencers that really truly aligned with that brand and believed in it, and were able to authentically recommend the product to market to their audiences before it even was out there. So it's one of the successes that we've had recently. It's been pretty exciting.
Great. Well, thank you all for introducing yourselves. Before we move too far down the conversation, I'd like to just get a sense of who's in our audience. How many of you would identify yourselves as being influencers or on that side of the house? And how many of you represent brands and the promotional side of the house? About twice as many, 3 times as many. And anybody sits in the middle on a platform or representation kind of role? So good. We've got a great mix of people in the room, and I'm sure that those viewing this online will also kind of make up some part of that ecosystem. But in the next session, we're going to talk about influencer marketing from the perspective of the influencer and kind of what they need and should look for in a brand. For now, we're focused on how brands approach influencers and the kind of best practices and strategies that go into that. So I think it'd be helpful just to start at the beginning of that process, and let's talk about kind of how campaigns get ideated. Where does it happen in the organization of a marketing department? Like, where do those budgets and plans come from? How do you start? I mean, we'll get to influencer fit and who you reach out to, but like, where does it come from at the top of that funnel? You have a thought, Cynthia?
Sure. I always start at the beginning. I always start with really the target audience and the market space, and really trying to tap into. I think at the end of the day, you really need to be able to do your research and homework on who your target audience is, and really understanding what makes them tick regarding this space that you're in, and regarding the brand and how they emotionally connect to not only your brand but the market space in general. So that's where I always like to start, because at the end of the day, a purchase or a consumer decision is always based in the emotional space. So really trying to understand not just who they are from a demographic perspective, but from a psychographic and an emotional perspective. I think one of the brands that's done it really well is Jeep. There's sites and blogs and Instagram sites all over the place of people there's clubs and all of this kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, it's because Jeep did a really good job at really being able to tap into the fact that people, when they think of Jeep and when they buy a Jeep, it's because they have this vision of them being like wild and free, running through the dunes, and going sort of where no car has gone before, and they were able to tap into this emotional idea for their consumer. So I think that at the end of the day, that's where I like to start, to really kind of understand what the unique selling proposition is for the brand. And once you understand that, then the story sort of can unfold from there.
Andrew, you mentioned kind of different parts of the buying cycle, and like that you're working maybe a little lower funnel. You want to talk a little bit more about the objectives?
Sure. I think it's interesting because I think organizationally, influencer marketing falls into a lot of different places. And I think the reason that is it's a tactic. It's a way to reach your customers and deliver a message. And so you can use it in a lot of places. I think the common misperception of influencer marketing is it's an aggregate. It's a way to just get eyeballs, and where it is effective at reaching new audiences and leveraging existing brands of these influencers to build your own. But at the same time, there's a lot of applications of influencer marketing when we're talking about loyalty, when we're talking about education, getting people over that consideration phase, actually into the conversion phase and buying your product. I guess if I go along the same example, a guy who sells a yoga ball chair that you see it and it looks goofy. I don't know if you guys have seen it before, but it's the yoga balls that have a little insert that's actually a chair on wheels. And like many of the products, it was being bought by yogis. And they took all of the, what you would think is a sterile photo of this ball sitting in real offices, and people realized, I can actually bring this into my office. And that was really back at the consideration phase. So I think organizationally, you see it everywhere. We're run by everything from PR teams to social media teams to brand marketing teams, but it really depends on the initial goal, and then can be applied and used strategically in a lot of different ways.
Hi, I'm Josh, and we're here at Microsoft in Playa Vista, California, and we're really excited to host two amazing conferences here, the Authentic Marketing Conference and the Digital Growth Summit here in this venue in Los Angeles. But don't worry, if they've already happened, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can experience the whole conference from the convenience of your home or office. You can watch them anytime, anywhere, but let me show you the venue. Come on over here. This is where a lot of the networking happens, where a lot of the influencers, the brands, the agencies, and the digital marketers will hang out for lunch. We fully cater it all. This is where the magic happens, Zuma 1 and Zuma 2. These are really big, awesome rooms that Microsoft works with us to allow us to host our conference here. The key feature is that center wall. This room, in classroom style, allows us to divide it into two rooms. We're gonna have lots of speakers up here. There's gonna be chairs, a whole panel discussion, 4 experts, 1 moderator, deep diving into a conversation around digital marketing, influencer marketing, what brands want, all kinds of cool stuff. In this room, it's typically the engage room. That means if you're on social media, we're gonna teach you all the latest and greatest stuff right now on how to use the latest apps and stuff that you can look forward to in the next 6 months. That's our role. Over there, we call it Analyze, and that's where once you've engaged, how can you look at your analytics in a wholesome way? And now, our Authentic Marketing Conference is all about bringing influencers and brands and agencies together so that they're mingling and working in an authentic manner. And our Digital Growth Summit makes you a better digital marketer. Step over here and I'll show you, while all of this is happening concurrently, 2 different tracks, we also have in this really sophisticated room over here, breakout sessions. And that's a deep dive where one speaker that breaks away from our panels will go in there and give you case studies, all kinds of cool stuff. But that's not it. There's not only a breakout session there, we have an even bigger room over there. It's awesome. 4 options at any one given time. No one person can see it all, and that's why I encourage you to look at the virtual replay ticket at MediaLeaders.com, where you can take part in all of our conferences. That's the Authentic Marketing Conference, the Digital Growth Summit LA, the Digital Growth Summit in San Francisco, and all of our past MediaLeaders.com conferences. It's a whole lot of content. It's as if you're here because you're gonna get the handouts, the notes, and all of the videos, which is really cool. I'm Josh. I'm so pumped and thankful to our friends at Microsoft for letting us do this here in Los Angeles and up in San Francisco. I look forward to seeing you at the event or seeing you on the virtual replay ticket. I'll see you soon.